Welcome to Horror Boys. It's a podcast on the internet. I'm Austin, joined as always by
Chris.
And we are the Horror Boys. And it's not just any old podcast on this old internet. No, my friends. This is a horror movie review podcast where every week we review a horror movie. Crazy, I know, right?
Yeah.
But hey,
Absolutely.
maybe it's your first time here. And if it is, hi. Please stay around.
And happy holidays.
Oh, yeah, so he's got eggnog. Ooh, for our audio listeners.
That's right. It's the holiday season when we release this episode.
Yeah. It's early December. Ooh, it's time for our 4 Christmas Horror Boys episodes of the season.
That's right.
Let's jump right into this first one, where we're definitely talking about the most legendary Christmas movie of all time. We're starting with where it all starts. You know, obviously 1974's Black Christmas. No. I'm getting word. We went with what Austin wanted to do, not what would have made sense.
Alright, guys.
Yeah, is that spoiler?
Tune in to next week.
Spoiler, we're doing it next week.
Yeah, when we do that one.
Yeah, but this
but
week
if you're tuning in today,
yeah, we're talking about Santa's sleigh.
yeah,
But spelled like killing, like slay. Yeah.
not the thing that he rides on.
Yeah.
Because that would be a weird title for a movie.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a movie title but it's,
Probably is.
Yeah. Well, today our movie is directed and written by David Steinman, who most famously has done nothing else directing or writing.
You don't say. I wonder what.
But he is the assistant to Brett Ratner on a couple movies.
Ooh,
Yeah.
hot dog.
Yeah. Ooh. Our composer is Henry Lonin, I believe how it's pronounced, who has done a lot of random horror sequels soundtracks. He did Ring 2, Mimic 3, and Hellraiser 7.
Huh.
Yeah.
So all the good sequels. That's
Yeah. Everyone talks about, Mimic 3, Hellraiser 7, and Ring 2. Not like Ringu 2 or something. I don't know. The American Remakes sequel.
Right.
But not the third sequel that's just called Ring. It's very, that franchise is weird and complicated with how you distinguish them.
Yeah. Unless you're watching the, actual good one, which is the Japanese one.
Which we can
Which all have
sadly never
different
cover
titles.
because as much as I would love to cover foreign horror movies, because there's a lot of great ones, just taking notes on that would be really hard if I need to be able to hear it while doing it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then we have our director of photography, Matthew F. Leonetti, who's actually done some really big stuff. He did Poltergeist, Dawn of the Dead, the remake, and this is less big, but still something I want to bring up. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I don't know if anyone's ever complained about the cinematography of that movie, to be fair to him.
Probably not.
Yeah, people
Probably
were too
just
busy.
the movie as a whole.
Yeah, people were too busy complaining about everything else about that movie to even think about the cinematography.
Yeah. Although I'm sure it also was subpar to match the entire, tone of the film.
I believe he also... I didn't write it down, but I want to say he also did, Rush Hour 2. So, yeah. Also, we have our special effects, which are by Leo Weiser of Ginger Snaps 2 and 3, as well as, recently, Prey. He did the special effects on Prey, the Predator.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a... Okay, Yeah.
Done some decent work. Yeah.
Like Ginger Snaps 3.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Ginger Snaps movies, but,
I've seen the first one.
he didn't do that one, actually.
Oh, alright. I have seen Prey. It's a good movie.
Alright, well, we're done with the, talking about people who did the behind-the-scenes stuff. I like recognizing them, but let's get rid of talking about them and let's talk about the movie.
Yeah, let's get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. we open the movie meeting the Mason family. And now I'm going to do that fun part. One of the first times ever I've had to do this early. I have the point of the podcast where I just list off character names and who plays them. We start with Darren Mason, who is played by James Caan of horror relevancy in Misery and Christmas relevancy in Elf. Yeah. As well as, like, just being a very, like, awesome actor who's done a lot of other things that are also important, but just not to this.
A very, very big actor who's done much bigger roles. And for some reason decided to be in the first 3 minutes of this movie.
But, maybe not so confusingly enough, is for some reason uncredited. I don't know. Then we got Virginia Mason, who is played by Fran Drescher of The Nanny.
The Nanny.
And that's about it. I mean, she's done other things, but, like, that's what people know her for. She's The Nanny.
It's also her horror relevance.
It's The Nanny, yeah. Then we have Gwen Mason, who is played by, what's that? That's right, a Horror Boy alum. Woo! We got Rebecca Gayheart, who played sorority sister Lois in Scream 2.
Lois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was also in other horror relevancy. She was also in Urban Legend. So, she's got a little bit of some horror cred to her. Woo. And she's also in this movie.
Yeah.
Then we got Jason Mason. Great name. Who is played by Chris Kattan of Saturday Night Live and House of Haunted Hill 1999, alongside a Horror Boys alumni, Famke Jensen, who has been brought up in 3 of the last 4 podcasts, which is crazy. Because, 4 ago, we did the movie that she was in The Faculty. We didn't bring her up during Thanksgiving, but we did bring her up last week, and now we're bringing her up again this week. So I can't wait to somehow bring her up during Black Christmas next week when she has no connection to it whatsoever.
Yeah, that'd be pretty impressive.
That's the new bit, apparently, is bringing up Famke Jensen, because it's just happened so much.
She'll be the daughter of one of the sorority sisters somehow.
We'll find out. I'll be like, something Jensen. Who's that? What? How?
Wouldn't doubt it.
Then we have Beth Mason, who is played by Alicia Loren, and Taylor Mason, who is played by Alicia's twin sister, Annie Sorrell.
Oh.
Yeah, they didn't really do much else. They played twins in a lot of things randomly. Like, like a lot of extras, like, they need a twin extras. So, hey, if it gets you rolls, it gets you rolls, right? And they all kind of suck, but that's like the point. They're all like insufferable and like
terrible people.
Yeah, insufferable rich people. Darren complains about the turkey being dry. Jason gets like handsy with Virginia, even though he's married to Gwen, and I think she's his stepmom. Maybe that's the only way they make it even kind of not okay, but like not absolutely deplorably. Like, what the heck? Because all of the characters' names are Mason. So you might be like, maybe, which means he has to be, either he took his wife's name, or he's definitely from the family. But, and also it does lead to more him being part of that family, and his wife not being, because, at one point...
No, it's definitely his stepmom.
Yeah, but it's never directly said, which makes it just kind of weird. Because all of the cast members in this scene, their characters' names are Mason. Like, their last name is they're all one family. And, yeah, he's getting handsy with her, which is just wrong. No matter what way, like, even if it's his stepmom, it's still wrong.
Right.
But, yeah, I think that's what the implication is.
It is really weird and gross.
So we're going to move on. I needed to address how gross it is, because it happened, but we'll move on now. Beth says grace. But is interrupted by a rumbling at the chimney.
From the chimney. Whoa.
What?
Crazy.
Who could it be? Well, their dog, Miss Scribbles, runs over, which I was going to bring up who the dog was played by, because IMDb said that, but then the picture for the dog was not the right picture at all. it was like a completely different looking dog, and it was saying that it was the same like famous what dog actor who was in like the TV show Mad About You, but it also the dog was not the same at all, and I was like, something's wrong here. The dog's name.
They put makeup on the dog.
I think that probably what it is the dog as well as the dog in Mad About You are both named Maui, and there was only one dog actor on IMDb named Maui, but I could be wrong about it even being the dog actor's name. But, you know, I want to give credit to all the actors in movies, so I will credit, I believe, Maui as playing Miss Scribbles.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Maui.
I don't want Miss Scribbles' representation coming after us.
The late Miss Maui.
Yeah.
Or Miss Maui.
That's true. Maui would be dead at this point.
It is a dog.
Yeah. And this movie is 17 years old.
17 years old?
Yeah. So unless the dog was just born, it's probably dead.
Oh, smaller dogs tend to live long. It could just be like really, really old at this point.
All right, I want to believe it's alive. If you own the dog Maui, please contact Horror Boys at
let us know.
horrorboispodcast@gmail.com.
Need that peace of mind.
I can't wait for our podcast to eventually blow up, and I have to change our email because I mentioned it there. Because if not, we'll just have thousands of emails coming to the Horror Boys email.
Yeah,
it's fine. I don't really use the email for anything.
Fair.
Lost my place. Because of course I went on a whole big talk about
Maui goes to check out the chimney.
Yeah, Miss Scribbles. Maui is the actress.
Right.
That'd be like saying Fran Drescher, whatever. It's obviously Virginia in the scene.
It's the nanny, Fran Drescher.
Well, down comes the chimney, comes Santa! Woo! And also destroys the chimney as they're coming down it. Santa is played by Bill Goldberg, who is a Hall of Fame pro wrestler, known mostly for his time in WCW. He also played himself in the movie Ready to Rumble alongside Horror Boy alums Rose McGowan and David Arquette.
Yeah.
I have to mention something, you know. He also has done some like other acting in like very bit role. This is the only closest, even that I wouldn't call it that, but like the closest to a leading role he's ever had. Which, you know, fair enough. But, you know, hey, he pulls off playing grunting angry man pretty well, and that's what this character of Santa is in this movie, so it works for him.
Yeah. Violent, grunting angry man.
And that name right there it's why we're covering this movie this week, because I knew Goldberg in a Christmas horror movie. I need to see this. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Virginia questions if he's Santa and does the nanny laugh. But even then, it still kind of feels like she's doing it half-heartedly. Like, even Fran Drescher was tired of being in this movie for the one scene she was in it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it could also be, you know, this was, like, 15 years after the nanny, so maybe she was just old and couldn't do the high-pitched laugh as well anymore. Well, as well is in definitely, like, quotes, but, like, you get my point. She couldn't do it to what it used to be, maybe. Or she just didn't care. And honestly, either one I would kind of understand.
Yeah.
Santa replies, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus," which is a reference to a 1897 editorial in The Sun in response to an 8-year-old girl's letter. It's like a very famous like editorial that's like re-put in a lot of papers since, and I think was released as a book at one point. The "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus" was a like reply in like an editorial to a girl's letter to Santa. And so he says that line here as like a quip. This is Austin using my also Christmas knowledge to, you know, try to add in some details to this. To be fair, I did have to look up like what paper it was and stuff. I did whatever. We'll move on. Then Santa kicks Miss Scribbles across the room into a ceiling fan. He then rolls across the table and stabs Darren's hands in the table with 2 knives. He growls at Taylor, causing her to faint and fall back and impale her neck on Miss Scribbles' doggy bed. He then uses some liquor and a lighter to set Virginia's hair on fire. Jason tries to fight Santa, because I guess, you know, he thought he could take him, which is laughable if you see Bill Goldberg and Chris Kattan in a scene together that think that Chris Kattan could think he could take Bill Goldberg. And he can't.
I will say that it is very silly that he uses liquor and a lighter to set Virginia's hair on fire because, as we find out later in the movie, he can breathe fire.
Oh, that's fair. No, that's fair enough. Well, you know.
Guess they don't want to reveal that yet.
And well, he shoots fireballs specifically, and this he wanted to. I don't know. I'm just moving on.
Yep.
So yeah, Jason gets all up in his face and gets kicked across into like a cabinet, like a china cabinet. Santa then drowns Virginia in some eggnog. He bludgeons Gwen with a table leg, even though, as she says, she's been nice. Which, to be fair, she was the least annoying character. So, she's not wrong.
But this Santa does not care.
No. Beth tries to run away, but he takes her out with the tree star thrown into her back.
Yeah.
He then puts a turkey leg in Darren's mouth and rams it in with the table, like smashing his head down.
Yeah.
Killing him.
He does the Joker pencil trick.
Yes, I was thinking that, but I didn't know how many people would get that reference like that. But that is totally what I think of when I see that.
Everyone, I think, would get that reference.
I still feel like that scene
isn't in his eye. It's a turkey leg in his mouth.
I still feel like, as much as I agree with you, I don't feel like that scene is as iconic that everyone remembers it to the point where when I saw it, that's immediately what I thought was that exact same scene. But I don't know.
Well, I hear people reference it all the time.
Okay, so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm okay being proven wrong on that because I think that scene deserves the recognition.
Yeah. What we're trying to say is the Dark Knight stole that scene from this scene.
I mean, you're not wrong. This was 3 years before. So, I'm not saying it, but I'm also not saying you didn't.
Yeah.
We then head to our title card of Santa's sleigh. I actually really kind of like it. Was a cute little, like, it starts out saying Satan, and like the word sleigh comes in looking like a sleigh and like knocks the letters around to say Santa's sleigh. I thought it was a cute title card reveal.
I was confused initially, but it made sense.
Fair enough.
Later on.
Yeah. We then get our credits in a book that teases the backstory we'll reveal later. We then head to Hell Township on Christmas Eve. It's never stated where Hell Township is, but I'm pretty sure it's Hell, Michigan, because that's a real town, first off. And also, Hell, Michigan is in Eastern time zone. The time zone they're in is Eastern due to, like, we know that because time zones come up later, and, like, where it would be in comparison to Greenwich Mean Time, they would be Eastern. So, like, it does look like they probably are in Hell, Michigan, but it's never directly said. Because I guess calling it Hell, Michigan would be too, like, well, we don't want people to know that. We'll call it Hell Township. And refer to it as, like, full words, Hell Township, over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I feel like it just feels weird to me to, like, choose to, I don't know. Because
they don't want to marginalize the people of Hell, Michigan.
I just also feel like, though, like, people don't go, like, Hell something Township that often. And it's like every character in this movie calls it that. And it's like, all right, hold on.
No, I feel like anyone in a township would just call it the name of their township.
Yeah. And yeah, it's Christmas Eve. And we head to the Heaven Scent, spelled like a smell.
A smelly scent?
Yeah, the Heaven Scent Delicatessen. Where our main character, Nicholas Yolson, works. Nicholas is played by Douglas Smith of Ouija and The Bye Bye Man. So he's been in some great movies.
Oh, well, everyone's allowed to have wrong opinions.
What?
Just kidding. I know that's not an opinion that Austin actually holds.
No.
Those are both objectively terrible movies.
I mean, I haven't seen either of them, so I don't know if I agree that objective, but I've only heard bad things.
The Bye Bye Man is definitely objectively terrible.
Yeah.
Ouija is maybe passably bad.
I think I've heard that people like the sequel to Ouija, but also, I don't know. But that's not the one he was in. He was just in the one called Ouija. So, He's dealing with a curmudgeon Mrs. Talbot, who is played by Dana Zook. She says a lot of lines. I can't repeat like any of them. She's a very curmudgeonly old, vulgar woman. Yeah. His boss, Mr. Green, takes over the transaction. Mr. Green is played by Saul Rubinek, who has been in a ton of movies, including Rush Hour 2, which was DP'd by, the director of photography of this movie. That's right.
Yeah.
Woo.
Ta-ta.
Whoa. Crazy connection there. Mrs. Talbot leaves with one last uncalled for jab at Mary Mackenzie. She just calls her a really mean insult with an extra expletive added to it, and she did nothing in the scene before it, and you're just like, wait, what?
Nope, she literally hadn't said a word yet.
Nope. And she is played by Emily DeRaven of The Hills Have Eyes remake and Lost, which she was in that alongside Horror Bois alumni Andrew Divoff. They were in the same season. I had to make sure. I was like, was she still around in that season? She was. And then I thought about what I remember about Lost, and she was definitely there because she was really affected by one of the first things Andrew Divoff's character did. I won't go into that in case anyone wants to watch Lost. The show from 2004, now in our year 2022.
If it predates this movie, I think I'm okay.
All right. Well, this season doesn't. This was from 2008 season, so I can't say.
All right.
Can't talk about how Andrew Divoff's character killed off Charlie, the man that she loved. Dang it! I said I wasn't going to say it.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry for anyone who hasn't watched Lost yet.
I'm sure somebody out there is probably watching it for the first time.
But also listening to our podcast?
No.
What are the odds of that? So I think we're fine.
No, they've started watching Lost, and so now they've got to devote a whole year to watching Lost.
Not really. I mean, if you want to binge a show, it's still, you can get it done in a couple months.
Yeah. Probably. You're just watching Lost?
Yeah. I could probably get it done in a week. So a normal person could do it in a couple months. But yeah, back to the story. She's in Lost. We head to Mrs. Talbot on the street, being followed by Santa in his sleigh, which is being pulled by his hell deer. And his hell deer are played by Ronnie and Apache. They're a buffalo, I believe. They're both buffalo. Ronnie and Apache, and they're buffalo. And I can't confirm where I heard this, but because I confirm where I heard it. I think I heard it it was on Dead Meat on the Kill Count. But apparently that the Goldberg's voice was so scary that the buffalo were scared of him. These big imposing buffalo were scared of Goldberg, which is great.
Poor guys.
Yeah, Goldberg's scary, guys.
He is a large man.
He is a large, loud man, so I could see it. It's not like a buffalo is a predatorial creature either, though. So I could definitely see it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, after a ludicrous song reference, Santa runs Mrs. Talbot off the road into a snowbank, causing her to do a car flip stunt, which is cool because he's always cool to see cool car stunts.
Yeah.
I think it's a little weird that they chose to go, yes, a ludicrous song from 4 years prior to this is the quote we want Santa to deliver here.
There's a lot of questionable decisions made in this movie.
What?
So.
I don't know what you're talking about. I can't think of any. Back at the deli, Mr. Green brings out Christmas presents. Woo! He has a snow globe for Mac and a clock that tells different time zones times for Nicholas.
Yeah.
Which is, sounds like a pretty bad present, but maybe, just maybe, is the better of the two presents, according to what happens in this movie.
Although, no.
No, it still does. I still stand by it. It does.
Oh, we're led to believe that it is.
I think, unless you don't want to believe an angel, it still does. He just, we'll get to that when we get to that. Mac gives Nicholas a ride home. On that ride, Mac asks why he's not into Christmas. He says because he always gets something like an easy bake oven when he wanted, Castle Grayskull or a Transformer.
Transformer?
Yeah. She drops him off at the one house not decorated for Christmas. He unlocks the multiple locks before going inside. After some quick PepsiCo product placement in the fridge, the power goes out. And he heads to his basement as the music gets really spooky. Like, it's tense. Like, something's about to happen here. And then Nicholas is startled by his grandpa. Swerved, yeah. You thought something really was going to happen? Nah, it's nothing. The music was there to make you think it was about to be scary. Like, was Santa there? No, not yet. Yeah.
Just Grandpa Yuleston.
Yeah, they got you. They got you good, didn't they? Oh, they didn't? Fair enough. Grandpa is played by Robert Culp of I Spy, The Greatest American Hero, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, Better Watch Out, which he was in that alongside Horror Boy alumni Bill Moseley, who played Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. As well as Drayton Sawyer in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. Or Texas Chainsaw 3D, sorry, my bad. I'd say to the Texas Chainsaw 3D fans, like, they don't exist, but if we go anything off of our podcast numbers, that's like the most popular movie ever, apparently, so...
They definitely do exist.
Apparently. Or people really want to hear people crap on that movie. One of the two, or a combination of both.
Yeah.
But yeah. Grandpa had turned off the power to change a light bulb in his bunker. That's right, he has a bunker. And Nicholas also is confused by that because he didn't know that there was a bunker there.
Somehow.
Yeah. Fair enough, yeah. Nicholas finds a nutcracker his grandpa was working on, which is very Christmassy for him. His grandpa doesn't like Christmas. Why would he be doing that? And it ends up shooting, I believe, a chestnut out and almost hitting them, and it kind of bounces around the room like crazy. Yeah. Then Grandpa, which is the character's name, so I will refer to him as Grandpa going forward. It's weird because he should have a name, but he doesn't. He's just Grandpa.
What he's credited as Grandpa.
Grandpa then shows Nicholas the bunker, which Nicholas thinks makes his grandpa crazy, like the town thinks he is. Because that's another thing we didn't mention. It was Mrs. Talbot mentioned it, but we kind of glossed over Mrs. Talbot's lines because most of them I can't repeat on this podcast. But she was one of the first people who mentioned like his grandpa being crazy, and
a nut job of some sort.
Yeah, and now that he sees this bunker, Nicholas is kind of like, "Are you crazy? Why do we have an underground bunker?"
Yeah.
And Grandpa doesn't care what people think of him because he'd rather be crazy and alive than ignorant and dead. Which, fair.
Yeah.
I mean, and spoiler, he's proven right, so I guess, fair enough.
Yeah.
He's
the only one who would know.
Yeah.
About this impending threat, so.
Yeah.
Valid reason to be, crazy.
Yeah.
Or rather, not crazy.
Yeah, that's right. We head to Santa, who is ringing a charity bell, like where you see like what's the charity that always does that? It's the
Salvation Army.
Yeah, Salvation Army bell, like next to the little money collection pot. He's just filling in. Before being mugged by, I believe, just due to figuring out things in the IMDb credits and whatnot, I believe this character is identified as a disgruntled youth. Maybe that's the actor I'm going to bring up now because it's the only one that even kind of makes sense as a possibility because there's no other thing about Mugger, and I guess he looked kind of young. I don't know. And he's played by Kevin Gillespie. So, yeah. I guess if that's the right character to actor, Here's the thing. There is a character that is credited as Disgruntled Youth, played by Kevin Glussie, and I think it's this one.
Might be.
Yeah. But yeah, this Disgruntled Youth, possibly, is trying to, mug Santa with a knife, but Santa disarms him and stabs him in the eye with a candy cane. Then he smashes it further in with, like, a wall smash before throwing him into a dumpster.
Which, wow, that is an incredibly durable candy cane.
I'm okay with that. I feel like it's a Christmas horror movie. I don't expect it to follow perfect rules of real life.
No, and that's fair. I'm just saying that it is silly.
I mean, maybe.
And it is a silly movie.
Yeah. I would argue this movie
I'm not going to call the silly thing silly.
Yeah, I guess. I think you're just being too negative on that specific thing. Where did we leave off, though? This silly thing. Dumpster. Alright, back to Nicholas and Grandpa. Nicholas confronts Grandpa for always hating Christmas. Grandpa says he doesn't see any reason for commercializing Santa. Then there's a random 15-second long fart sequence where Grandpa farts and they go, "What, Grandpa?" And it just feels like so out of place, like almost like, I don't know, maybe the actor actually farted there and they just left it in, because it completely kills what's the word I'm looking for? Like, kills the flow of the movie here. Like, it was like, sometimes, I don't like fart jokes, period. I think they're like the lowest common denominator of humor. But this wasn't even like it made sense. It was just like, it stopped the scene that was happening. There was a fart joke. Then they continued the scene. 15 seconds later. And I'm like, what, why? What happened here?
Old man fart. Funny.
I guess. It's
it's
baffling to me why this director and writer only ever had one credit. With writing / direction, whichever one this was, like this scene.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah. Nicholas asks for the truth about Christmas, and then he says something that I'm not going to say, but Chris will say now.
About, and not the one about, Santa not being for you.
Yeah, because, he's old enough for that. He doesn't need that conversation.
Right.
Then Grandpa says that I'd be careful what, I would wish for this Christmas. What I asked Santa for, that's the actual line, but I messed it up. Who cares? And then Nicholas makes some sort of joke about them being Jewish, because... Here's the weird thing. There's another sequence that definitely feels really anti-Semitic, but the weird thing is, half the cast is Jewish. The writer and director is Jewish. So maybe I can't call it out for being anti-Semitic. Maybe it's like self-deprecating humor that makes it okay for them to have done it. Maybe. I'm not sure. But like, Bill, I didn't know for sure if the director and writer was Jewish. Not gonna sound, anti-Semitic myself, but his last name made me wonder if he could be. But Goldberg did confirm it in an interview that, like, writer-director was Jewish, I was Jewish, we're making a movie about Christmas, it's great, it's funny. That's a crazy world we're in, So, maybe it's okay?
Maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't get to decide, that's for sure, but... Yeah. Just felt like I needed to bring that weird elephant in the room up, because this is the first time they make like a weird Jewish joke. He's like, "Oh, what are we, Jewish? Is that why we can't celebrate it?" And it was just like,
watch this movie, know that is an element of this movie.
Yeah.
Among other questionable elements.
Yeah, there are a few other
that are slightly a product of their time.
Yeah. This one I could maybe that's that weird whole, I don't know if it's right or wrong because of, everyone involved would have had more right to say so, and I'm not that, so I'm not going to be...
And the other ones are just...
No. There are definitely ableist, homophobic, and that's the only slurs they use, and then there is a different racist joke earlier that we skipped over. So, but yeah, you do have to take that into account if you haven't seen this movie and you want to listen to our review and decide to see it. is a product of its time. I will say, for the most part, what's trying to be a comedy of the 2000s, it is thankfully less than I have seen in other comedies I've tried to go back to from that era.
It is less reliant
there is literally
upon those things.
Besides the questionable anti-Semitism, which is definitely a bigger thing, the other jokes are like one each, and then they move on. So, yeah. We will move on. But yeah, so Nicholas, he keeps pushing. He's like, all right, no, I need to know, the truth. And so Grandpa takes him to his safe to retrieve a book. Nicholas also finds this little winged, like, metal thing that, makes him think that... It says that it thanks Grandpa for a lifetime of service. So Nicholas, obviously thinks, hey, I didn't know you were in the military. And Grandpa says, I wasn't. And you're like, oh, wait, what?
Huh.
I wonder what that's about. We'll find out later. Grandpa starts to read from the Book of Claws. It tells of how there have been 2 immaculate conceptions. The first being God and the Virgin Mary, leading to the birth of Jesus. And the second being Satan and the Virgin Erica, leading to the birth of Santa.
Yep.
Yeah. On the anniversary of Santa's birth, also I guess you could refer to that as, his birthday, but, whatever. Anniversary of Santa's birth. There were always a great number of unexplained deaths and murders. The day became known as the Dog of Mord, or Day of Slayings.
Day of Slaying.
The townspeople would have a mass of Christ, or Christ Mass, if you will, to pray to the Lord for protection. In the beginning of the 11th century, one of God's angels took the form of a man. Then the doorbell rings, and we don't get to know more right now.
Yeah, and guess who it is? Mac.
Yeah, it's Mac.
Yay!
That's his friend. Grandpa says, your friend's here. It's pretty cool. And she brings Grandpa a gift. It's a plate of Wolverine meat her father shot that morning, and it looks gross.
Yeah, for some reason, her dad, who is definitely a hunter, didn't take all the hair off, which I'll say it's not typical for anyone who is a regular hunter.
No one said he's a good
not know
hunter.
How to properly skin.
No one said he was a good hunter,
anything.
Chris. Spoiler, very big spoiler. Actually, I won't even say it. I'll just say spoiler. I would argue he's not a very good hunter from what we might see or not see of him. And that's all I'll say, because I want to save that for when it happens, because it is, yeah.
Fair.
But so Grandpa is kind of grossed out by this, but he's kind of trying to pretend like he isn't, so he goes to the kitchen to put it away, probably put it in the tray of the trash. And she also gives Nicholas a gift, and it's a gun.
Yeah.
And he's
Although it's shaped like a pizza when it's wrapped.
Yeah, but he opens it and it's a gun. And he's very confused. I believe this is where the ableist slur is thrown. But she ends up showing him that it's actually a Transformer. Well, it's not. I mean, it's like a knockoff Transformer that has almost no mobility. And I looked it up, gun Transformers, and there were some. There's Starscream, I think. No, not Starscream. He was a plane. Megatron's original was a gun, but this is not Megatron. It does not look like it at all, in either form of it. So I don't know what gun knockoff. This is a Transmorpher.
Yeah. This is a Transmorpher.
Yeah. This is from the knockoff, because it's not a Transformer, but she says it is. She never says it's a Transformer. She says that it's more than meets the eye, and shows him it and gives it to him. We then head to a church where Pastor Timmons is preaching. Pastor Timmons is played by Dave Thomas of not Wendy's. I could understand the confusion. Both the same name, but not that Dave Thomas. This is Dave Thomas of the Canadian sketch comedy show SCTV, or I believe Second City TV, also has a bunch of other different names that slightly changed throughout the years. Not to be confused, but also understandably confused with Second City Improv, which is in Chicago. This is like a branch of them that's in Alberta, Canada, I believe is where it was. But yeah, it was a Canadian show where a lot of big actors were on it at one point. Like I think one of the people who was definitely on it was I'm blanking on his name now.
Jim Carrey?
No, he was on In Living Color. Crap. I'm forgetting his name.
Well, anyways, he's a pastor and he's preaching about giving money.
Yeah, he's also in Strange... Oh, I wasn't done talking about Dave Thomas, though. He was also in Strange Brew. I got distracted, which is another movie. He was in that with one of the really other famous actor who's definitely on the thing with him. As well as John Candy was in SCTV. He wasn't in Strange Brew. He's not the actor I'm thinking of. The actor I'm thinking of was also in Ghostbusters. Rick Moranis. His name is Rick Moranis. Please don't roast me in the comments. It's Rick Moranis. I remembered his name. I didn't even have to look it up, guys. You should be proud of me. I remembered. Yeah. Rick Moranis is in Strange Brew with him. It's a really funny movie about, like, Canadians. I think I own it. But yeah, Pastor Timmons is giving a, guilt people into giving sermon. About, how you gotta give bills, not just change. Yeah. Because, it's the holiday season, you gotta give to charity. And then we cut immediately to Pastor Timmons bribing the bouncer, played by Don Bland. Sorry.
Well, he does pull up to the strip club in a very nice car.
Sure, that's fair. And yeah, he ends up bribing the bouncer by giving him some money, and the bouncer's like, "Oh, don't worry, no one will ever know you here, Pastor." But like, he also knew him, so this is definitely a thing he does regularly.
Right.
Before heading into Gold Diggers, a strip club.
Yep.
Yeah. Then Santa shows up, and he valets his sleigh, and kind of a little funny throwaway joke where he gives I don't know if it's a key. They look like keys, but I don't know why his sleigh would have keys. But he gives the keys to the valet.
Yeah.
It got a little smirk out of me, not probably even a full chuckle, but it got me a smirk. Like, oh, he's valeting his sleigh. That's funny. The bouncer, for some reason, immediately just has no desire to let him in, which doesn't even give him a chance to be like, oh no, there's a cover charge, something, nothing. Just no, you can't. What do you want, fat guy? Like what? That's the way to talk to a potential customer.
Which, I will say that even in this movie, Bill Goldberg definitely does not look fat. He's just huge.
Yeah.
Just a giant, towering man.
Yeah. So Santa starts to have to beat him up, and he ends up strangling him to death with a wreath. Should have just let him in. Inside, Santa forcibly makes out with a stripper. But don't worry, it's okay because they were under mistletoe. I guess. At least that's the
and
implication.
also he's evil, so.
Well, yeah. But, she seemed upset until he pointed out the mistletoe and then just didn't even go in a huff at that point. She's like, oh, yeah, fair enough. It's like, what? No, hold on. That's still wrong.
Yeah.
But also, it's somewhere in this scene, maybe when we first go on the strip club, maybe even before he kisses her, we do get a quick little shot that I actually thought was really kind of cool, attention to detail, of the pastor. One of the bills he's giving to a stripper has this marking that we saw on the bill in the collection plate, showing that he is just giving away the money from the collection.
Mm-hmm.
Adding to this how deplorable of a pastor he is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you understand. A security guard, played by King Lao, I believe is how his name is pronounced, gets tied up with some Christmas lights by Santa, who then throws him into a wall before sending him towards the bar, where the bartender accidentally stabs him in the throat with a knife.
Yeah.
As you do. Then the bartender, played by Christian Fraser, and a club patron, played by Ron Weber, who's also, I believe, a truck driver, from what we may know later, or it's a different character. No, it is him. He's also a truck driver. You can't tell it all in the scene, but he is a truck driver. I can confirm that he is a truck driver. They try to attack Santa with a shovel and a pickaxe that were like on like a it's like kind of
Mounted
like
on the
yeah,
right
mounted on the
above
wall
the bar.
because like they're part of the logo of Gold Diggers, so like it was like a physical version of it.
Yeah.
So they grab those and they run towards him, but he's able to like take them down and not get hit because he has a table that he just uses.
Yeah.
He just like a
But
cool
disarm
kip up
them.
onto it. Like it's cool. That's one thing I will say. Yeah, I don't think anyone can. I mean, someone might, but the one thing that this movie definitely does right is
fight
the
choreography?
action, like fight stuff. Like they do a lot of cool, innovative kills with a lot of cool action sequences because they have some cool stunt people involved as well as Goldberg able to do a lot of his own stunts.
Yeah. That is the thing that this movie has going for it.
Wow. Fair. I might have slightly different opinions.
Oh.
I think this whole movie's... No, I'm just kidding. I'm the person who goes against the statement I just made. No, the action sequences suck too. No. He then jumps and hangs on a swing with his head in a stripper's crotch, which I would normally just skip over that, but I have to bring it up because the stripper is played by Wanda Ferriton, who was a stunt woman who about, I believe, 2.5 months later, due to an article I read, is engaged and then married to Bill Goldberg and still married to him to this day, have a kid, happily married. But they literally met with him with his face inside her crotch.
That was love at first sight, I guess.
I guess. I think it's also like a fun like little statement. He talked about how he goes into this room shooting that day and like there's all these women like who are topless because it's like they're doing a stripping scene and she's the one person who like before was like wearing clothes and he's like that was the girl for him.
Fair enough.
Whatever. Yeah, but yeah, they got happily married, so good for them. Well, I don't know if they're happy, I guess, to be fair, but they are still married
Hopefully.
17 years later, so probably happy. Maybe. They're still married, at least. That's at least they're married. All I'll say for sure is they are married. I don't want to say if they're happy or not.
Right. We do not know.
I don't. Pastor Timmons sneaks out. And then Santa cleans a stripper pole before he takes it off and then uses it, which I thought was, once again, a little funny, little smirk moment. I was like, oh, he felt the need to clean the stripper pole before touching it because, ew, gross.
even pure evil.
Yeah, it's like, oh, no, I'm not touching that. Ew.
Wow, that's nasty.
Yeah.
I don't know what's been on there.
Yeah, so he pulls it off and kind of like starts wielding it like a, I don't know what I want to say he's wielding it, but like he's like Darth Maul with his double-sided lightsaber.
Yeah.
Or just a bow staff, something of that nature. Yeah. He uses that to fight off first the club patron runs over with the shovel. He kind of knocks him down with it. Then the bartender runs over with his pickaxe, and it's deflected into his head, killing him.
Yep.
Then Santa hands the patron / truck driver the pole and forces it into a light above him, electrocuting him and killing him, which is a fun, really like stupid, silly, but really creative way to kill someone, so I really appreciated it. Then Santa takes out a piece of, as he's about to leave, he takes out a piece of coal and he breathes on it, I guess with maybe his fireball breath we see later, I guess is how he does it. To explain it, because he makes this piece of coal so hot that when he throws it, saying naughty, he sets the whole building on fire, presumably killing everyone inside. Yeah. Outside, in his Helldeer, spits up a valet hat. So, his Helldeer also killed a valet driver.
Oh, specifically, it ate him,
Well,
I guess?
I guess that's fair. Which, hey, Helldeers are hungry, man.
Apparently they have, like, jaws that can unhinge.
I don't know. Or, he slowly ate him piece by piece and just also then tried to eat the hat but couldn't get it down. I don't know.
Something.
Maybe he just took the hat. Maybe we're looking too into it. Maybe he just took the guy's hat as he ran away. And we're going, that Helldeer must have killed him. Back at the house, Grandpa goes to bed, leaving Nicholas and Mac alone. Nicholas asks if she thinks his grandpa is bananas. She says no, just a little odd, which, fair response, I feel like. But not to Nicholas. This makes Nicholas really mad. And he stands up and he calls Mac's dad odd for being a hunting gun freak. Which, to be fair, I just call him a freak, so I guess that's fair. I guess you're getting my stance on gun nut, guy who really likes guns, hunter, whatever you want to call him. But he does. It is. Here's the thing. I won't deny that I also think maybe being that into hunting, where you have tons of, mounted heads, for me is also a little odd. But somehow that also really offends her. Like, I don't get this scene. He got mad at her. He's like, my grandpa's kind of bananas, don't you think? Or I think he might have asked him more like, you don't think my grandpa's bananas, do you? Or whatever. But either way, he knows that his grandpa is a little out there. But when he asks her and she goes nicely, he's a little odd. He's like, you want to talk about odd? It's like, why are we... What? You started this, bro. You didn't have to bring up your grandpa being weird. It's not like she started it. It was like, oh, your grandpa's a little odd. And then he got... no. He starts it. Is like, my grandpa's kind of crazy. And then she's like, yeah. And he's like, your dad's crazy. And that makes her also really mad. And she leaves. But also, the dialogue she has in this next scene implies that that's not why she's mad. She's mad at the relationship they have. This whole scene makes no sense. Yeah. Because she then goes call me. You have my number. Call me when you're ready for a more mature relationship. Which I guess you could say he wasn't mature the way he brought up her dad's gun collection and stuff. But still, this whole back and forth dialogue in this scene makes no sense.
Yeah, I would say most of the dialogue between these two characters doesn't make any sense, especially with what they're trying to imply is a romantic interest between the two, but it doesn't seem like Nicholas is interested in Mac at all. Until
he is, yeah.
He is at the end.
Yeah.
For reasons.
Well, because the movie had to do it,
Yeah.
Also, to be fair, maybe Nicholas just opened his eyes. It was a very pretty girl, who really wanted to be with him. So, maybe that was enough for him to finally go.
Yeah, Nicholas is an unlikable idiot.
Yeah, but she likes him for some reason and wants him to be more mature, but he isn't. So she leaves in a huff.
Yeah.
Nicholas starts to read the Book of Claws, and it's. I really love this little next sequence because it's depicted in a stop motion cartoon.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the
Rankin and Bass.
Yeah, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. It's really cool.
Elf dentist.
Is it done slightly as well as a Rankin and Bass, stop motion? Of course not.
No.
But is it cute that they tried, and I think they did deliver on getting something close? Yes. And I really loved what they did. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of a different, James Caan movie. It kind of reminds me of when Elf tried to do the Rankin and Bass style stuff. It's not quite Rankin and Bass, but it's close.
It's almost there.
Yeah.
So then we find out that the whole reason that Santa hasn't been killing people all these many Christmases ago is because he lost in a curling game to an angel.
Yeah. I have to try to find my notes because you just jumped over 3 sentences in a sentence. But yes.
It is, yeah.
But yeah.
It's a very cute scene, but that is what happened.
It is a really cute scene. But yeah. God sent down an angel who's dressed as an old man. Very important. Yep. We know that, And the old man, the way he's done in that Rankin Bass, it kind of looks a little familiar.
Kind of looks like a certain old man we might have seen.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Santa was ice fishing with his elves, and then the old man challenges him to curling, and the way it worked was if, he got close to whoever got closest to the hole wins.
Without going in.
Yeah, and Santa got real close, but the old man was able to push it just slightly in, real slowly, but just barely did it, which had him cursed for 1,000 years. So yeah.
Yep.
And specifically, now, not just cursed, but the curse of 1,000 years was specifically that, he had to turn his Dag of Mord into a Dag of Glee.
Yeah.
Or Day of Joy, because apparently Glee is the old-timey word, but joy is, I don't know. It felt weird to me.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
And then after he finishes reading, Nicholas realizes that was exactly 1,000 years ago.
That was 1005.
That means the
And
bet
now
is
it's
over.
2005.
Oh, that's crazy. Then he goes on his computer and does a Hoo-Yah search because they couldn't get the rights to Yahoo, but they also wanted to make fun of Yahoo, which is a very reference that doesn't age well because who uses Yahoo? No one. But Yahoo was, a popular search engine at one point. And they kind of mock even the way the jingle goes with their Hoo-Yah. It's just really?
Hoo-Yah.
Yeah, it's okay, really? That's where we're... All right, movie.
Yeah.
So he goes on, he looks up, he searches for a Santa tracker, and he asks the live chat, which is also, I believe the live chat is known as something stupid. It's some stupid joke, because apparently it's... I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. I didn't write it down because I wasn't going to even bring it up, but I wanted to bring it up because it made me mad. I don't remember. It was some stupid, juvenile joke is what it ended up being. Chode or something like that. It wasn't that, but it was something like that.
Yeah. I also remember seeing the name, and I was like, huh.
I'm mad I didn't write it down. But just know that it was a low common denominator joke that wasn't worth it. And there is an acronym that's shown that they don't ever... But yeah. So he's talking to the chat, and he asks them, hey, is this Santa tracker real? And then the Santa tracker asks, well, how old are you? And he says 16. And then the Santa tracker says...
that, no, Santa's not real. Somebody should have this conversation with you by now. You're old enough.
Yeah. So at that point... he goes, okay, I guess, Grandpa's crazy, and he goes to bed.
Yep.
It's now Christmas Day, because the lower third told us. We wouldn't be able to figure out that the day after Christmas Eve was Christmas Day without that. And Santa, he barrels through a nativity scene, taking the head off of Joseph. We then head to a random family who are opening Christmas presents. The kids are vulgar brats. And when they open their gifts, the gifts explode, taking their heads off in a total Looney Tunes-esque,
yeah.
But here's the thing,
it was
so stupid. I liked it. It doesn't there are some decent effects in this. This isn't one of them. It is over the top stupid.
It's very silly, and it makes Grandma go.
Yeah, she drops an F-bomb. Yeah.
Oh, F-bomb.
Yeah, which. It's the double joke there was her reaction was she was the only person in the room seeming to be reacting to the kids' vulgarity, so then she was vulgar. Haha, get it? Yeah. But, it is what it... Yeah, that scene's over. That scene, apparently, that's one of the things that, Santa Bill Goldberg did last night, was sneak those bomb presents into those kids' house.
Yeah.
We then head to Pastor Timmons, who is doing a sermon where he condemns the now dead people who worked at Gold Diggers before giving condolences that include knowing all of their names. Which, once again, was got a little half chuckle out of me. I was like, okay, that's funny. Him be like, they're horrible, and we miss, but their families will care. So then he lists off their names, which I feel like you wouldn't know that unless you've been there. Because also those weren't their real names, so it's not like he got those from the newspaper. That was him knowing their punny stripper names.
Yeah.
We then head to Heaven Sent Deli, where Santa shows up. Mr. Green tries to turn him away, but Santa...
He's closed. It's Christmas.
Yeah. But Santa kicks down the door. He then...
Well, it's the glass door, and he breaks.
He kicks down, breaks the glass, and comes through. He then dives through the deli case in a very... similar to his signature move, the spear. He's definitely jumped through, hitting a spear there. I believe I've also read that, or heard on a video, I don't remember which one it was. It was definitely the video. I don't know why I'm pretending like I read. That he, did his own stunt in the scene for sure, which is cool. I hope that's true.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, and that wouldn't surprise me, because he's literally just hitting his wrestling move. I mean, he's doing it through, some fake glass, so I guess it is a little bit extra dangerous, but... Mr. Green tries to ward him off with his Star of David necklace, but it's to no avail. And Santa pins Mr. Green to the wall with a menorah. Before he leaves, he sees a picture of Mr. Green, Nicholas, and Grandpa. Oh no. We head to Nicholas, who is at the gas station to buy gum. The attendant is played by Tom Tiny Lister Jr., best known for his role as Debo in Friday, and I believe also Next Friday, I think is the sequel. As well as he also played Zeus in the movie No Holds Barred, which led to a couple short runs as a wrestler feuding with Hulk Hogan, who was in No Holds Barred with him. So that's why I had to bring those. I had to bring up wrestling references. Wrestling and Buffy. If they have that connection, I will bring them up. Also, fun fact that no one's going to care about, but in WCW, he didn't wrestle as Zeus because that was WWE's own name. So he was Z Gangsta. Just the worst name ever.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up that name. I wanted to see that look on your face when I said the name Z Gangsta because it's so bad.
It's certainly a name.
All they have, though, the only gum they have, because their truck driver didn't show up because he died at Gold Diggers, is a gum called Smokin' Gum, which it also brings up like milligrams. I guess it's weed gum that he's selling to some kid?
Definitely a nicotine gum.
Either way, yeah, fine. Sure, it still feels weird to sell it to a 16-year-old kid. Without even questioning it. But also the reason I was calling
it... a Nicorette.
Yeah, the reason I brought up maybe being weed gum is because the packaging is also like green. So like maybe that would just... And also I think it could be a reference to... I think there's a lot of, smoking weed in Friday. So like, I don't know. Because it felt like it was supposed to be like a specific joke as they showed the gum. Because they show it like up... like a close-up of the gum package. But there is no... I looked it up, tried to find, like, is there, like, a smoking gum in Friday? There's not. So I don't know what the joke or reference is supposed to be, but it felt like there was supposed to be one, specifically. But I could be wrong. It could just be some random nicotine gum for no reason. I don't get it, but, I really do... I will say, I think Tiny Lister kind of stole the scene. I think he does a really good job playing himself. Like, because he's asked, like, why he's here. He's like, oh, there's too much violence in the hood now, so I'm here. It's like, he did a really good job. Like, it was fun. But,
yeah.
But, yeah. I don't know why this scene is here. Other than, I guess, because,
we got him in the movie?
Yeah, well, yeah. But also, there was also a police scanner that he listens to, and that's how he...
yeah, that's what we find out.
Yeah.
Well, specifically how...
Yeah, it's how Nicholas finds out that there was some vandalism at Heaven Sent, so he heads off to go there. And then he leaves, because he'd already started paying for it, and he's like, and it's only like, it would be like just over $2 change, but he leaves like, oh, you forgot your change, and like the reaction from, his character's the attendant, but from Tiny is just like,
he's super.
He's like, oh, Merry Christmas! It's like, what is? He's just so happy about the $2 tip.
Yeah,
I guess.
$2.
It's amazing. Yeah. He stole.
He's gonna get himself some smoking hot gum.
I guess. Oh, I love it. Once at Heaven Sent, Nicholas finds Mr. Green, who uses his final words to tell Nicholas there's a Santa Claus. The cops show up, and they're like, really, this is specifically that scene where they're really like anti-Semitic out of nowhere. But once again, like, I don't know if it's I don't know, so we'll just move on. But like, I didn't write down any of the jokes or anything because I'm not gonna harp on them. But like, there's just a lot of, because there's also characters we didn't mention. I think actually we're officially in the scene before the gum scene. There's also just like some random like Hasidic Jews walking by. I believe it's so, and like they're still in this scene, and there's like slurs thrown at them, and like I don't get it. But once again, because of the people involved, I have to wonder what, like, I don't know. I don't know if this is, acceptable because of it. I don't know. But yeah, they they feel like it's a little confusing that, Nicholas is there, so they take him in to get questioned. Once he's at the station, he goes in to talk to the police captain, Captain Cock, which, don't you worry, I won't bring it up when it happens, but there are jokes about how his name, Caulk, sounds like something else. And isn't that some great humor?
Yeah. We've hit all the marks.
Yep.
Fart and pee-pee jokes.
Yep. And Captain Cock is played by Michael David Sims. Nicholas tries to tell him about what he knows about, Santa being evil. Captain Cock isn't buying it. So Nicholas pulls out the clock, and he theorizes that at 7, this will all end, because that would be midnight North Pole time, because they're on Greenwich Mean Time. Which is where, once again, I'm going off of those time differences, is why I believe this movie is set in Hell, Michigan. Or it's just a really weird coincidence that this is still set in Eastern Time, but it's supposed to be a different Hell Township.
Yeah.
Which I also wouldn't have thought that Michigan was in Eastern Time, but it is. Like, I looked up where Hell, Michigan, time, so it is. Like, it would be Eastern Time. So I don't know. Cock is having none of it. Especially when Nicholas brings up his grandpa. He's like, no, he's crazy. Shut up. Mac picks up Nicholas, and he starts to tell her what's going on. But then we cut back to the station, and Santa shows up. He kills Captain Cock by tasing his balls. Yep. Presumably some more after that, after we cut away from that scene in there. But presumably he did kill him, and the only thing we see him do is tase him in the crotch. So
and then we get a little panning scene of all of the other officers who have already been murdered.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, and the only one that's even there's one of them is dead on the ground, and he's got the chalk line around him with the little Santa hat. That's kind of funny. A scene I even literally skipped over where they were mapping out where the other kills have already happened. Looked like a Christmas tree.
Christmas tree.
Yeah, one of those cops is now hung up, looking like a Christmas tree on that board with the little things. So yeah.
Yep.
I will find my.
Meanwhile, back in the car.
Yeah, back at the car. Nicholas, and Mac. Back in. There it is. Found it. Back in Mac's truck. It's not even a car. It's a truck. Back in Mac's truck, Nicholas finishes up telling Mac about Evil Santa and how they have 4 hours left. They get pulled over by a cop car, but out comes Santa. So they try to drive away. But Santa hops on the truck. This scene goes on for a little bit, and it's actually done really well, this little action scene, but it's kind of, I'm going to run over it real quick, because it's really nothing happens, but it is a well done scene that I will give the movie credit for. I didn't have a problem with the scene at all. But yeah, it's he's trying to load the shotgun while she's trying to knock Santa off, and they do a stop-start thing to try to knock him over. That doesn't work, so he shoots him with the shotgun. He got loaded. Which is also, I thought there was small bits of him not understanding how the gun works and her kind of getting a little mad. I thought were almost charming character interaction between them, which is cool because we're supposed to really care about them, and this is as close to any bit of because he's there's a point where she gives him specific gun terms, and he's what? And she's just open it. And he's oh, okay. I liked it. It was cute. Which is good. We should want cute little scenes with them, and this is the closest what we get.
Yeah, scene with a shotgun.
Yeah. Yeah. You understand.
Yeah.
Then they get to Nicholas's house. And once there, Nicholas and Mac, they head to the basement to look for Grandpa. I will say one cool thing about this is once they, a very small detail is they don't reset the alarm, and then the other scenes where they're there, the alarm is going off, which is just that small, slight world-building detail I really like when things do that. It's happening in the background later when, the next scene. I really like that. That's a small detail that's easy to have forgotten. A lot of movies would, and they didn't. So, I give them credit. I liked it. But yeah, so they head down to the basement. They go into the bunker with Grandpa. And then they immediately have to like leave the bunker because there's some carolers. Well, I guess they shouldn't have left, is what they realize. But Mac runs off to go try to warn them, and Nicholas follows her to try to get her back. And when they get up there, right about the time they're telling the carolers to run away, Santa shows up, and he just takes out all the carolers.
Yep. Kills them all.
Yep. Well, I mean, for the sake of this movie, yeah, probably, but also like he like drops them. Like there's one lady where we watched like the way he drops her, like it looks like it would have broke her neck, but most of them it's like he knocks them down. But we never see them again, so yeah, sure they're dead, but also are they? I think this movie wants me to believe they are, but I don't think they are. Like, I mean, obviously they're not because they're acting. You get what I'm trying to say. Even in this world, they shouldn't be dead. So they head back down to the bunker. There's a little scene about like the scene where like they're trying to look for like Grandpa wants some Tenactin, and because that's where he hid the keys, and even though this is a secret bunker here, Nicholas can't just trust his grandpa. He's like, oh yeah, let's give him tough acting Tenactin, we'll cure his athletes. But it's like, really Nicholas, you can't just. All right, Nicholas, you just have to be the worst character. Like, obviously, you don't think your grandpa knows what he's doing here at this point. Like, he's built this bunker, he's protected you, he's known everything about Santa so far. Like, but this is where he draws the line of like, oh really, the Tenactin now. It's like, all right, Nicholas, come on, just play along. Just like give your grandpa a chance to prove himself wrong if you want to not trust. Like, so far he's been right about everything. So they sneak out like this hidden little back door just before Santa gets in. They're going to escape on some snowmobiles that are in the garage, but Santa sees them on the bunker's surveillance cameras. Max, her snowmobile won't start. So now Santa's outside, and Grandpa and him have this little verbal back and forth where Grandpa calls him fat and says he has bad hair, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, Grandpa kind of is more mean to Santa than the evil son of Satan Santa in this is to him. He's like, you let yourself go. Oh, it was my wife's cooking. Well, did you do your hair too? You suck. You're ugly. Like, what are you doing, Grandpa? All right, settle down, Grandpa.
And he is evil, so.
Yeah, so then Grandpa gets what he deserves after being so rude, and he gets ran over by a reindeer from behind. The hell deer shows up and knocks him down.
He gets run over by a buffalo, really.
Yeah, he gets run over by the hell deer. And then Santa says, Grandpa got run over by a reindeer, which I like. I like stupid slasher quips, and this is kind of as close as we get in this movie. Is him making like Christmas references that sometimes fit the scene, and this one's one that fully fit it because they wrote it in so they could probably have that joke.
Yeah,
but yeah, I like it. It's cute. It's stupid, but it's fun. So Grandpa's dead. Bye, Grandpa. Because he doesn't fully die until he walks over and stomps his head as he says that line.
Yeah.
Mac gets on Nicholas's snowmobile and they ride away. Which I will say, I think this was there's a YouTube channel called Wrestling with Regret, where they did a episode on this because I got a wrestler in it, so they talk about wrestling things. But one of the people on that in the episode brought up how that this sacrifice play literally did nothing. Like, he killed time and then they still leave after he's dead. So what was the point? Which is a really good point. Dead. Like, there was no point. Like, the sacrifice play is supposed to give them time. She could have got on his thing at any point and they could have all left. Like, the sacrifice play was pointless. But he sacrificed himself for them, and they ride away. Santa gets in his sleigh and we have a chase scene where Santa throws present bombs at them. They drive through her dad's skeet shooting range before ending up. They end up going to Old Helltown, where they head past Pastor Timmons. Santa soon follows.
Santa.
Yeah. Santa soon follows them and chases down Pastor Timmons, and like they do this thing where he like hits Patrick Simmons from behind with his hell deer, flips him into the air, he lands into the sleigh with him, and then he knocks him out. Yeah, with like a, I think is this the Yuletide fear joke, or is that later, or holiday fear joke? Is that now or is that later? I don't remember. He gives like a trying to spread holiday fear joke at some point. I don't remember if it's this time or the other time he knocks him out. Spoiler, because he doesn't kill him here. He just knocks him out. Nicholas and Mac then head to the school, but the door is locked. So Nicholas tries and fails to punch through a window. While he looks for something to break it, Mac breaks it with the helmet from the snowmobile
that he put down.
Yeah. He then helps her in, but is hesitant to touch her chest to help push her in. So she places his hands on her and is like, "You might have to make every first move." Haha, because he doesn't want to be in this relationship, as we've seen throughout this movie. But
yeah, for reasons I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. They hide in a science room and they check the clock, and they find that Grandpa snuck in the Nutcracker in his bag with a note. It says, "The only worthwhile gift is a practical one."
Yeah.
The clock says they have 58 minutes. They've got a lot of time now.
True.
They decide to try and take the offensive plan and lead Santa to the skeet shooters. Santa shows up behind them just as their flashlight goes out, asking, "Who's your daddy, Father Christmas?" While he's holding a green glowing candy cane that he then like immediately drops without ever using it all. And
Doesn't do anything.
I don't get this scene. Like, I think it's maybe supposed to be some sort of Star Wars reference, but it's not done well if it was supposed to be like, because it kind of feels like a lightsaber, like the way it's glowing.
Yeah.
And like there is like but he didn't say he didn't say a line that actually lines up with it at all. So I don't get it. It's. I give this movie probably more passes than some people will give it for some of the things it does. This joke, it's not even a joke. He just says, like, "Who's your..." What? Like, it was... Like, he set up his own joke to give the punchline of Father Christmas. And it's like... Huh? Why did you even bring up the "who's your..." Alright, moving on. Okay, alright, Santa. Sure.
So Whatever. He could say Father Christmas.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is
and then
a punchline.
They run away. And he chases after them, shooting fireballs at them, because he can do that now.
I mean, he is the son of Satan.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But, as you pointed out, why didn't he do that earlier?
Yeah, very questionable why he didn't do that earlier.
Because they didn't want us to know that he could do that yet, Chris.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to know that he was the son of Satan yet.
Yeah. I mean, that is
revealed.
true. We weren't supposed to know that yet. So... Yeah, maybe just don't kill anyone with fire then, if you want to not do that, They hide in the library, but he follows them in because he hears a book they knock over. He then uses a gas grenade shaped like a ornament.
Christmas ornament.
Yeah. To flush them out of their hiding after saying, "Not a creature is stirring," when he walks in and get it, because it's quiet there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah. Some of them land better than others. Some of them are just him saying, like this next, like that one, pretty bad. Makes no sense. This next one, it was actually a well done pun, so I'll give it credit. Santa picks up a copy of A Christmas Carol, and he says Christmas can, scare the dickens out of people. Like, that's funny because that's the name. Like, there was a reason
Charles
for
Dickens.
that. Yeah, like I'll give him that one. That one's fair. And yeah, he then throws that copy at Nicholas in the head, hits him in the head right as Nicholas and Mac leave the library.
Nicholas screams an expletive, and Mac gets mad.
Oh, that's true.
He uses the Lord's name in vain.
It's true. And she's like, "You gotta stop that." He's like, "Oh, you still didn't like my grandpa, except for the fact that..." Because she also says, "You gotta stop saying that, you a-hole." Specifically, a-hole. Because at this point in the movie, both characters decide to stop cursing. And I'm fine. I don't care if characters. But there's another point later where he says like, "Oh, we're totally effed" or something. But he says effed after the characters have said the F word, and it's one of those things where like I never understand when movies choose to do that. I've never met anyone who says the F word and then says, "Ah, we're effed" or effed it. Like that's not a thing. People don't do both.
Oh,
you either do one or the other or neither, but like you don't do both. But whatever. So yeah, then they run into their next hiding place, which is they're gonna hide at the hockey rink. But they run right in and they like slip on the ice and they fall down. Then Nicholas gets sad because he realizes that like he doesn't have anyone anymore, and she's like, "But you have me," and he's like, "Oh, no matter what happens, I'm just happy I'm with you," because now he loves her. He didn't 2 scenes ago, but he does now. So just deal with it, guys.
Yep. Instant chemistry.
I mean, to be fair, once again, maybe he just opened his eyes.
Maybe.
Because I can't blame him for like falling in love with Mac. Like she's a pretty girl and she seems nice and like likes him like a lot.
Really sweet to him.
Yeah, like
all the time.
He should have loved her from the start, but he didn't until like once his grandpa had to die for him to realize that he cared about her.
Yeah, and every other scene, he was an a-hole for no reason whatsoever. Yeah. Really.
Well, her dad's kind of odd too, so maybe she shouldn't point fingers.
Yeah.
Then Santa, they're about to kiss after that big heartfelt moment, but they're interrupted because Santa comes in on his Zamboni. Woo! He's about to crash into them.
Crush them.
Yeah, kill them by crashing them. Yeah, crashing into them is great. It's going to be cool. He's going to kill them, but then he's stopped
by a curling
glowing curling stone.
That's true.
Which was
I'd say it's angelic in nature.
Yeah, thrown by, as we find out in the next scene, not next scene, but the next line, from first they like both speak a different language. I'm assuming Norse because that was the language that the book was written in earlier, but also that doesn't make sense.
Why does the angel speak Norse?
Yeah, that's a great question. We'll just move on. I'm not gonna think about it. But yeah, he's the archangel. Elsgate, but spelled Hellsgate. Yulson.
Yeah.
Or
it is spelled Hellsgate.
Grandpa. It's Grandpa.
Yeah, or Grandpa. Yeah. Or Grandpa Yulson.
Yeah. And Grandpa says that he moved to hell because Santa said he would go to hell and back to find him. Because he's very literal, as what's her name points out. Mac. Forgot her name. Santa says it was actually really easy, and he reads a letter from young Nicholas who asks for a mini bake oven, proving that he was a liar earlier. He got exactly what he should have got because he asked for it.
Proving yet again, Nicholas is just the worst person.
Well, I mean, he's not a Mason, so he's not the worst people in this world.
Yeah, but he is among the worst.
Yeah, he's almost as bad.
Yeah.
But
Mac really is the protagonist of
it. I agree. Except for the fact that she's not, sadly, because of the way the story's written. Grandpa challenges him to another curling match, but Santa says yes, but I set the stakes this time, and then proceeds to make the exact same stakes if he wins. Like nothing new, like nothing like, oh, and now your whole family will, go to hell. Just you're gonna be in hell for all eternity. That was the stakes of the original one. And then immediately after that, Grandpa's like, all right, and but you have to be good forever this time if I win. So Santa's like, fine, but I set the stakes. But then literally lets the stakes not be different for him, but only worse for him if he loses.
Yeah. Well, now he's going second, so
I guess that's what it means. But also, okay, he creates the hole this time, even though he also once again did create the hole last time because it was his ice fishing hole. Actually, I set the stakes line doesn't make sense. I'll say it. He doesn't set the stakes.
Yeah, it is only worse for Santa.
Yeah, if Santa loses, it's worse for him. That's it. That's the only thing that changed.
Yep.
So yeah. But yeah, he is going second now, so I guess he didn't mention that in the stakes, but he did at least do one thing right. But yeah, so he opened that hellhole with a stomp. And then Nicholas tries to stop his grandpa. He's like, no, Grandpa, don't do it. I love you now that you're dead. But his grandpa says, remember, the only worthwhile gifts are practical ones. That's a reference from like a scene ago. Typically, like callbacks like that are like set up like early in the movie, not like 2 scenes ago.
Yeah.
But whatever. Grandpa goes first. He gets real close. Santa is about to go, but decides to throw Grandpa instead, sending him into the hole. Then the clock goes off, saying it's midnight, in Greenwich time, which means midnight in the North Pole. Well, Santa says that's not true, because the pole is where all the time zones meet, so Christmas is over when he says it's over. Then Mac has like a really funny line about like, he's really mean but really educational or something like that, like really evil but really educational. Like, it was like, all right.
It's really scary but really educational.
Yeah. I think that was like during that line, because I actually think that little scene ends with him saying it's over when I say it's over, but that's when he's like explaining how time zones work at the North Pole. She says that line, but it was a good line. So, So then Santa he goes to shoot a fireball at Nicholas, but Nicholas uses his nutcracker to shoot a nut through it, and it hits Santa. And then he gives this awful line, chest nut, because he hit him in the chest, guys. And you thought Santa's quips were bad.
Yeah.
You realize it's actually not that hard. It's pretty hard to do quips, as we find out from Nicholas here. It's actually, we should give Santa credit for the ones he does come up with, because, boy, apparently it's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
That knocks Santa down. And then Nicholas hears a noise, so he goes over to the hellhole, and he pulls Grandpa out, who was hanging on by the metal wings.
His little angel wings.
Yeah, he has little wings. He was able to hold into the wall with that. Santa then leaves on the Zamboni. He could have gone over to kill them, but he doesn't. He leaves. I guess because, once again, maybe we might know why in a second, the line we get from Grandpa. But yeah, he leaves. And then Grandpa closes the hole by throwing the curling stone in. At Santa's sleigh, Santa knocks out Pastor Timmons, who's coming too. So he knocks him out again. Then Nicholas, Mac, and Grandpa are heading off to take out Santa because Grandpa says that he's powerless now. He's just bluffing. Which, maybe explains why he, ran away there, because, he was bluffing. He doesn't have his powers anymore. But Grandpa, he actually can't come with them for reasons.
Yeah, he's stuck inside that high school ice.
Yeah, because he's stuck the place he died. Wait, no. Huh. Oh, wait, I guess it actually makes no sense. He's like an angel? Like, you think he'd have the power to leave a random high school gym he happened to be at? Whatever.
Nope.
Who cares? Mac and Nicholas, they head to the skeet shooting range, and they get the shooters to be ready to shoot down a flying deer. The shooters include Vinny, who is played by a native Canadian actor, Jimmy Herman, who was in Dances with Wolves, and Mac's brother, Sean, played by Jeff Hanna. I will say, her brother might not be Sean, played by Jeff Hanna. That may be her father. IMDb, neither of them have a picture, but I think from like research I was trying to do like offline, like searching up the father, who I think the father's name is. Spoiler: her father's about to be in a scene. I looked him up, Paul Puri. I believe I found a picture of him not on IMDb that looked like it was probably the father, but once again, I could be wrong. Neither of them have pictures on IMDb.
No, those are probably the actors that are.
Well, those are definitely the actors who are playing these two characters. They're both. It's Sean and James McKenzie. But the thing is, the characters' names are Sean McKenzie and James McKenzie, and neither of them ever have those names in the movie. So I don't know which one's her father and which one's her brother.
But they're brother and father.
Yeah,
Right,
but
so,
her brother is in the scene right here, Sean.
yeah.
Or I think it's Sean.
Her brother
Yeah,
is in the
yeah.
scene right
Her
here.
brother's in the scene. Nicholas then whistles for Santa to find them, and all the shooters they start shooting, and it looks like it all is going to rely on Nicholas making the saving shot when Mac's dad James, I think, played by Paul Piri, shows up and blows it up out of the sky with a bazooka.
Yep.
What? He just shows up with the bazooka and like bazooka ex machina kills the. Okay.
Well, it's because Vinny gave him.
That is true. Vinny did buy him the bazooka with his, loyalty points from his cigarette brand of choice. It only cost him one lung in his vocal cords, guys.
Yep. Because he does have, the
little voice box.
Yeah.
They head over to a flagpole where Santa's body is, but it's actually Pastor Timmons' body. Santa got away.
Bum, bum, bum.
Nicholas tells Mac he didn't say anything because about Timmons not being the culprit because Christmas is over and Santa's gone. Why should they live in fear? He then
the fact that he's gonna come back next year.
He then says, maybe because then there's also the fact that like what Grandpa says, does he come? Can he come back? Does he have powers? I don't know anymore. Because he also did, like, when he got shot by the chestnut, he did kind of, like, react like, ooh, that hurt more. Like, he, like, kind of looks, like, there's, like, a half-second look-down shot where I'm like, maybe he's supposed to be weakened now? I don't know.
It was a glowing chestnut, I guess.
Yeah. Sure.
So who knows what that means?
Yeah. But then, most importantly, he tells her that my saga, I think it's just beginning. Which it isn't. That was obviously this movie hoping they were going to get a sequel, and they don't. This is the only movie ever made in the Santa Sleighs franchise. But I just find that line really funny because this whole ending feels so much like let's not even really resolve things because we hope we can get sequels.
Spoiler, they don't.
No, there's no sequels. But then, hey, they share a big old kiss. Isn't that happy? They're happy together now. We then head to Santa, dressed like a biker, going by Shatan now. And he's heading back to the North Pole.
He's Mr. Shatan.
Yeah, Mr. Shatan, like the hockey player.
Yeah.
And he's heading back to the North Pole. His one bag to check is his sack. Ha 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 ha, yay. We then have the credits. And then in a post-credit scene that I don't think Chris saw, and that's fair, because why would he have stuck through the credits? Santa says, "Who's next?" While checking the list, which is his wrestling catchphrase. Yeah, now it's time for final thoughts. This movie's not good, but I really liked it. Like, I enjoyed this. Yeah, the only thing I could truly say was good would be, like, the fighting and some of, like, the kills. But I kind of loved all of the badness and the bad... Like, I liked it. It was fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's a great movie, because that would be a lie. It's not a great movie. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought most of the characters were enjoyable enough. I will say, yes, Nicholas was definitely the biggest flaw when it comes to characters. But even for me, at least, he never took me out of it. I never really, like, except for, like, the closest to me being taken out of it by Nicholas was that one scene where he just randomly gets mad at her for her dad being a gun owner. But, like, I don't know, I enjoyed it. It's stupid, it's silly, it's over the top. It's not trying to be anything than what it is, which is just a stupid, silly Christmas slasher. And if that's what you want, a stupid, silly Christmas slasher, this is that. So, yeah.
Yeah. It is definitely that. And it definitely doesn't try to do anything other than be that. And sometimes it hits better than others. And I will say that it is... one of the smartest moves it makes is it doesn't overstay its welcome. Its runtime is an hour and 17 minutes.
That's with credits.
And
it's like an hour and 12 minutes is when the story ends.
And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It has some really cool fight scenes, has occasionally some funny jokes interspersed with some really not funny jokes, uh, and some things that don't age well at all. But overall, yeah, I would say that I had a good time. Definitely better than other slashers that we've watched for sure. It is definitely pretty entertaining
Ooh.
overall.
I will also add one other thing that I didn't like. The ending. The ending is just really rough. It feels rushed and out of nowhere and stupid. Like, the dad showing up Ex Machina. I want to make sure it's clear that I think that is really stupid and, like, really ham-fisted just to try to get a sequel. When, let's be real, if they're trying to be a slasher franchise, you know what you do if you want a sequel? You just do it. Like,
I don't know. I feel like for this movie, Dad Bazooka Ex Machina is
but in
line.
I still feel like that was out of nowhere. But even then, without that, I still feel like it didn't even actually end, though. Like, Santa still being out there felt like a lame cop-out. Like, just kill Santa. That's the motto. My motto for this year's Christmas. Just kill Santa, guys.
Well, there you have it. Santa's play.
But yeah, as we already said at the beginning of this podcast, next week we're talking about Black Christmas. We probably should have started the month with that, or ended the month with that. One of the two. Give it either the beginning, opening, or the like crown spot. But instead, we're putting it in the middle. So just that's the way it is. But yeah, it's a classic.
Tasty filling in the sandwich.
Yeah, it's a classic. I mean, I don't know if it's good. I haven't seen it, so maybe it's one of those classics that doesn't hold up. I don't know, but hey, I'm looking forward to watching it. It's one of the movies that started the slash. Without that movie, we would not have this movie because we really wouldn't have slashers. Period. Let alone Christmas slashers.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you liked this podcast, please give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you use. We're on the 3 major ones. Unless you think one of the 3 major ones isn't the ones we're on, then I guess we're not on it. I'm sorry. Also, we're on YouTube. That's where the video version of this podcast is available. Where, hey, like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit that bell, all that crap I have to say as a YouTuber. Go over there, watch it, enjoy it, please. Tell your friends about us. And if you want to support us directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Horror Bois, where you can get the podcast early, as well as other rewards that we would have to make that content for you if you went there. So, hey, make us do more work. Do it. You won't, chicken. Yeah. I've been Austin, joined by Chris, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye.